In this video, I will show you how to get paid up to $2,500 a week to do absolutely nothing. And when I say nothing, you will be genuinely doing less than this guy. This Japanese man reportedly gets paid to shadow people and talk to them. He's got to leave his house. He's got to talk to people about random subjects. He probably has to research. He must wake up early when a client needs some early morning company. That's too much work. When I get paid to do nothing, I only have to leave my house to go to a water park with my wife and the boys. I don't have to stalk or follow anybody. I'm not going to show you a website or app that pays pennies every time you walk or fart. I'm talking about a lazy gaming, Netflix binge watching, road trip driving, and crystal clear beach swimming. I wonder if this is even legal income. But it is legal. I asked my lawyer. But the content of this video does not constitute financial or legal advice. As I told you in a previous video, there are countless jobs that you could work from home or anywhere on the planet with little to no experience. As far as I know, most remote positions are in the tech sector. A few require more expertise than others, and if you want to fill higher paid positions, you could train yourself to perform them through links on our spreadsheet absolutely for free. Or you could work with the people at itpro.tv for as low as $39 a month. I am not sponsored or affiliated with them. I would like to because they appear to have a good program. Now, the position for which I did nothing to get paid was an SEO marketing specialist. I, quote, worked for the Nielsen Business Media Organization, marketing iconic global magazines like Billboard, Adweek, The Hollywood Reporter, and AOL. My job working for these organizations was simply to drive traffic to the magazines. That's it. That's all Nielsen cared about. During that time, I was a power user of a social news website called Dig. It used to work almost as Reddit works now. I had a group of a few hundred friends, and we voted for each other's news stories until the social website promoted our content to the front page. Upon becoming popular, our websites and clients' websites would welcome tens of thousands to millions of unique visitors in a couple of hours to a few days. I made $90,000 for Adweek in 4 days on one viral occasion by promoting one of my biggest viral hits. Then as a contractor, I made about $1 million for Adweek in 2 weeks during their Super Bowl campaigns. I drove millions of unique visitors to AOL properties. I also did the same thing with a small magazine. They got so big that the 2012 Barack Obama presidential campaign partnered with them. And I did it by hiring people, mostly in Asian countries, to request votes for my Dig, Reddit, and StumbleUpon submissions. Practically everything that I had to do to market these magazines, I hired other people to do using the money the magazines paid me. So I paid people a couple of $100 to get back a couple of $1,000 each week. Since I kept in touch with hundreds of people on GChat, Google's chat application, and other channels, Asian workers would offer to work for me. Since their currency's value was more inflated than the dollar, I could pay them only a tiny proportion of the money I earned from my employer. In 2022, you could do the same thing by learning a little about performing a marketing or technology service for a business and hiring others to perform the work. You could employ workers on freelance websites where you could outsource your work. On Fiverr, for instance, freelancers list what jobs they could perform on your behalf for as little as $5. For example, I got a client whose website just went down. After reading the last email that the web hosting provider sent to me, I found out they had just upgraded the version of the programming language they support on their platform, PHP. My client's website runs on PHP. I only dabble in PHP. I don't have to build a whole website in that language. I have WordPress, and I've got people on Fiverr who can do the work I need to get my clients' websites back online. Let me explain. After a 5-minute Google search, I discovered that I had to upgrade my client's website's PHP code. I can easily do that by upgrading the website's framework, which is coded in PHP. That framework is called WordPress. A framework, in the simplest terms, helps you build a website or web program faster. The simplest way I could put it is to imagine that you have to write a thesis, research paper, or book report for school. The framework would be something like a friend wrote the outline or even the first draft of the assignment for you. You can install the framework with a few clicks on a web hosting control panel in under 5 minutes. Now you have a website. In the book report example, your first draft. Then after installing it, you could hire somebody on Fiverr or another freelance website to customize the website exactly how your client wants it. So if your client pays you $1,200 to build a website, you get somebody to make it for you for $200 or $500 or anything less than the $1,200, and you pocket the rest. You don't have to just charge $1,200. Some people will pay $10,000 to $20,000. I helped work on a website for Billboard magazine that was to cost $1 million. The key to billing as much as you want is by providing more value than what you are charging. Hence, you could bill $1 million as long as you've got a plan to have the company make $10 million using the website. I hired somebody on Fiverr to upgrade the website for $105. I have made over $500,000 with this one client. Oh, but Neil, you have to know about all this tech to be able to sell this stuff. Although I am part robot, I've got Ethernet cables in my veins. All you need is cursory knowledge of how web technologies work to sell these products. Once you communicate that you know how to perform internet marketing, people will come to you. I never had to cold call anybody. I met the wife of the client I just told you about when I picked my son up at his preschool. After the business owner's wife introduced herself to me, waiting for my son's teacher to release him and her son, she asked me what I did for a living. I told her that I built and marketed websites. I also mentioned that I, quote, worked for several companies. She told me that her husband needed help advertising his business on Google AdWords. I responded by saying that is exactly what I do. She invited me to go speak to her husband at 5 p.m. EST that very same day so I could tell him what I could do for them. Driving on my way to her husband's yard, another driver got angry at me after I made a left turn. He parked his car in front of mine and he wanted to fight me. As much as I wanted to put the beats on him or run him over, I figured I would be late to my meeting and lose my money. I'm not trying to lose that paper, so I drove around him and he followed me until he got a good look at the goons in the yard into which I drove. These dudes were chopping up rusty metal and catalytic converters with hands as fat as baby bananas. After a half an hour of me explaining to the business owner how much money I can make for him with Google AdWords, he asked me for the sale. How much are you going to charge me? Bam! I walked out of there with $3,500 in cash, roughly $500,000 in retainers to this day off of one client. For instance, a friend who quoted me in his book once sent me a client that needed my help managing his organization's reputation on Wikipedia. I have never worked on a Wikipedia project in my life. However, I knew somebody who is one of the top experts who helps companies manage what people write about them on Wikipedia. He's a Wikipedian. It's a real word. So I tell him about my prospect's problem. He gives me a full proposal and tells me he can help, but his services will cost $5,000. My job is simple. All I have to do is go back to my prospect and show him why his company will make or save more money by paying me more than $5,000 to edit his company's Wikipedia entry. I charged him $10,000 so I could pocket $5,000. Over a 30-minute conversation, I showed him how his company would avoid losing over $10,000 by performing these edits. Why? Because Wikipedia at the time dominated the front page of Google search results. Thus, he could quantify how much lousy publicity his company was attracting after I showed him the tens of thousands of people who perform monthly searches and hundreds of thousands of people who perform yearly queries on Google about his company. This data proved how his organization's existing content on Wikipedia could hurt his company's revenue by well over $10,000 if he did not act immediately. I sold him the package for $10,000, paid the Wikipedian $5,000, profited $5,000, and he edited the entry. for the company. Win, 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 done and done. I get paid for nothing. You, of course, have to develop some skills to do this form of non-work, but the skills are like investing in a passive asset, and you can find all the skills you need on our spreadsheet, where I've listed links to information resources and application portals to grants for everyone. For instance, you can learn SEO basics on the link pointing to this Google guide and Reddit's big SEO subreddit. Or if you want to learn more information, subscribe to our newsletter at bit.ly/NeilRod. Reply to the welcome message telling me exactly what you want to do to get paid to do nothing. Watch the video you see on the screen right now to see remote job opportunities you can outsource for which you can get paid to do nothing.